Hello and welcome to Building Your T-Shirt Empire. My name is Cole and this is Gavin. Gavin, say hello to the people.
Hey, what's up, people? It's Gavin here, founder of Seps.io and T-shirt Business Podcast. What's going on with you today, Cole?
Not much. I feel like lately we've been slammed with orders, and it's like when we're slow, I'm sad, and when we're busy, I'm stressed out. And I just wish that the print shop could somehow run consistently. And
Mhm.
I feel like I don't know how to even that out. We get this roller coaster where it's like we're at the absolute limit of our production, or we're just like wondering if we need to lay someone off. And it drives me insane. Have you had to deal with that at all?
Well, I think a lot of a business are like this. My screen print shop was like this. Even what I'm doing right now, it's also just trying to balance all this out because you never know where is that perfect like number of people, right? Because like, what if you get a spike next week and you're not ready for it? But what happens if you have a drought next week and you are overstaffed? I don't know if there's like a. I think there are other businesses like these online businesses or these software businesses. They could kind of, since they don't have like big, massive inventory, big, massive equipment, and like overhead. I think those type of business are better suited for that. But I think that's a problem that we always gonna have in a production type business, right?
Yeah, exactly. I would love to have a monthly subscription for my clients. Like that would be amazing. Just to know that oh, I always get the same amount of revenue. And if I get another client, I'm just going to have a little more revenue. It would
Yeah.
be amazing because we don't even do anything wrong in the slow months. They just are kind of naturally slow. And then we feel
Yeah.
like we're scrambling for every sale we can get. And I hear a lot of shops like they basically like clean or like come up with random projects like they're going to paint the offices because they just don't know what to do, but you don't want to get rid of your best staff. So, now that SEPS is up and running, it's been like 2 years now. Do you feel like having left the print shop side of the business and now you're serving print shops, do you feel happier with the way your life is going? Or do you feel like you're under kind of the same pressure as when you were a print shop owner?
I don't think there's like an easy business. There's
Yeah.
I don't think there is. Like I think every business come with its pain and also with like the satisfaction that you get from it. So it's just as far as SEPs, what I get from it right now, at least as the founder for SEPs, is I get flexibility of time, right?
Hmm.
Because the business is a remote business. So I could be anywhere just running the business as long as I have reliable internet. Lately, that's been a problem. As
You're
long
like you're like literally going and living in the jungle and stuff. You could just live in a major city.
I
What
could do that, but
what's the closest like big city that you're near right now?
so I'm in a city, right? But the city, I'm on the outskirt of a city. For the people that's listening, I'm actually in Mexico, right? Talking to you guys right now. So I'm in a city, but there's a little bit of outskirt and there's some jungle and this jungle, they literally place these condos or these condominiums, and we found one. So when we wake up, we literally open our window. We could see just monkeys flying around. Well, there's snakes and stuff too.
That's so awesome. See, that's what you definitely can't do as a print shop owner. Like I know I've talked to some shop owners that have gotten really successful, and some of them have tried to do like the remote work thing because they're like, "Oh, I'm just on my laptop all day, whatever."
Yeah,
And then you either find yourself paying a lot of money to a really good operator who basically becomes the entire like floor manager, and you can truly trust them,
yeah.
or you find out that there's problems where when you're not in the house, like things just go wrong. It just seems like unless you're almost completely hands off with the business and you're just kind of a shareholder, you have to be near a print shop. You can't do the remote work thing that you're doing. So I'm jealous.
Well, you know what? When I ran my shop, it was a challenge for me to actually try to run my shop remotely. That was my
Yeah.
whole. I literally had draw this out how I was gonna do it. It didn't happen like super successful. I wasn't super successful at it,
Yeah.
but I did try to like as much as possible. Even when I ran my print shop, I was traveling everywhere whenever I get the chance to. It's just like accepting the fact that things are not gonna be 100% perfect. Be
Right.
like, yeah, that's part of it, and also just part of like just letting go. that's like a big thing because like you built this thing, you don't want nobody like mess this up. Can you trust? Can you even find that person, right? So,
Yeah.
but at first, I think is like with the owner, if you have the mindset, hey, 80% is better than like me being there, giving 100%. If I can get 80% out of somebody to like run the business and take care of the stuff that needs to be taken care of and pay that person, and
Yeah.
if you're okay with that, then that's cool. And there is that other argument, like, hey, no, I want to see everything that comes out of my shop because I'm the only person that could print
Care.
amazing shirts. I'm like,
I
probably
mean, the
not.
thing is, though, if you take that mindset, why own the shop? So, like, I don't know if you know, like Mike or Andrew, but both of them had shops for multiple years. Both of them kept all their clients, sold their equipment, got rid of whatever leases they were in, and just middleman all day,
Hmm.
every day. And it's kind of like if you're going to try to run your own shop remotely, why even take the overhead risk?
Yeah,
Why not just take the client list and find shops that you decide you can trust?
yeah,
Because in those slow months, like that's when the overhead eats you alive. Is the slow months you're like, okay, so we're just gonna lose $12,000 this month because it's not like you can ignore payroll or ignore the lease or whatever. So that overhead to lose that and then just basically become nothing but a sales rep is
yeah,
kind of an awesome option, especially if, if you're not necessarily the best at the actual craft of printing, but you're a
yeah.
great salesperson. It may not even be worth focusing on, having your own equipment.
Well, my pushback on that is this. So, yeah, you could try to do that, become say a broker and do it. But
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of benefits to owning a shop. Like building, I don't know if building a team, like building a team is part of it, just having that. But the sense is you have a lot more flexibility in your business, like the way that you could serve your customer. There are jobs that you're not gonna get as a broker. You're just not.
Oh, yeah.
Because like the person that you're dealing with, they want to be able to see that you could produce it. They want to be able to see that you could give them a sample. They want to be able to see, maybe even come to your shop and just like test it out. There's been customers that I've had when I had my shop where they wanted to come to the shop and just see, like, are
Yeah,
we for
totally.
are we for real? So, and sometimes if you're already in a business, you may not want to sell your shop. Why would you want to sell it? Because you already put a lot of work into it, right? Changing that business to serve you a little bit better as the owner, right? It may mean for you to like take a little bit less as far as like the money that you're gonna bring in for yourself, so that way you could maybe have somebody as a general manager, right? So I actually read this book that's called Systemology, and it talks about just how to like set your business up where that business doesn't overwhelm you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
really about just making things super simple. Yeah, she's actually helping us clean the house. So yeah, just if you build your business in a way where it's like systematic, almost robotic in some sense, right? You templatize, you almost like, hey, these are the type of orders that we want to get. These are the type of customers we want to serve. Like these literally the shirts that we want to sell. Like when well, I didn't do this in the beginning, but towards the end of the business, we literally sold only 8 pieces of garment, like eight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like, well, we would sell more, but what we would present to the customer would just be that we created a one sheet that was like our top sellers. That was number one, and then we create our ink guide, and the ink guide was literally 24 ink colors because we found that we wasn't using much ink. So combine that with the ink guide and also a placement guide. Hey, this is how we do business. If you want to do business with us, cool. If you don't want to do business with us, it's cool too. But like that allows you to control what it allows you to like step away from the business because then it's pretty much just them taking the order and moving it through production, right?
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like my best clients, especially, they want so many random combinations of things. I
Yeah.
don't think I could just reject, allowing them to buy whatever weird, flowy tank or whatever that they want. But it is true that things just feel really complicated kind of unnecessarily. It seems
Yeah.
like one of the best things to do is kind of break it down as much as possible. Have you seen other people's like pricing on either print only or including the garment? And what do you think is kind of normal print pricing margin wise? Like, are you seeing? I mean, I see so many different prices. I see people who are like, we're going to print this for 72 cents. And then I
Yeah.
see other people and I find out that they're charging like $4.95 per side in printing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know what the norm is there. What have you seen with like successful shops price wise?
Yeah. So we struggle. We struggle with pricing. Like I think everybody does because you don't kind of now I have a way better idea what pricing should be. And
Mhm.
it's really starts with what do you want as the
Yeah.
owner? Like, because if you could get that set, then that's your baseline. And then you go work to try to get that. I've seen a bunch of like when we first started, like this is the advice they tell you not to do, which is what we did. We like kind of gather pricing charts around our, and then we put that together and say, hey, that was our pricing chart. That's how we started, right?
Right.
And then we played around with this calculator that we found online where you could put all your expenses and stuff like that. And then it could help you spit out a price that it work out 100%. And then towards the end, what we ended up doing was like we again just making it super simple. Like we literally, because we went to Sanmar, hey, we're gonna order 100 shirts. This is how we did our quoting. We're gonna order 100 shirts. What is 100 shirts in Sanmar? That bottom line with taxes, with fees, we took that amount, plug that into the calculator, give the calculator the number of, that was the first variable in the calculator, then give
Mhm.
the calculator how many pieces that we was gonna do. And then, so that's when you become a broker, it's really simple what is your cost is, right? Your cost is what the printer charge you, right? So it's like that line is like, okay, you already know. So
Right.
the trick for a screen print shop is like your numbers like fluctuate so much. You just have to pick a number, I find. Pick a number. What is your cost, your average cost,
Right.
right? So because I think that's where a lot of people are like, they don't know what that is. But if you make a decision and say and kind of buff it a little bit, where you add like some room, keep that number as stable as you can, then if you have your cost of garment, your cost of your expenses, that and how much percentage you want to go up, that's your calculation. Like it took us a long time to kind of figure that out. And it really took us that when we started brokering jobs, it was like those jobs we could tell right away how much we're gonna make because
Right.
everything is controlled already. So I
Right.
think for a screen print shop is just getting that expense amount. No, like that's what like I used to work retail. When I worked retail, like we would sell, say, a ream of paper. I used to be a general manager for this company. A ream of paper in the system, it would tell us how much that ream of paper costs. I'm like, how do you know how much that ream of paper costs? Like it's and we're selling thousands, if not millions, of this ream of paper, right?
Right.
They just made a decision like, hey, this is how much it costs to manufacture, how much it costs to ship, and they just average that. And maybe on a quarterly basis, they went and update that number because they know it changes, but they had to like give a number, right? So if you
Huh.
just give yourself that number and then just maybe have an interval to change it, right? Maybe monthly, maybe quarterly. So now your pricing becomes super simple.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is easy as a middleman to say, here's my blanks, here's my print, and now I get to keep whatever 30% of a sale.
Mhm.
But it's really confusing. Like when I'll price things, like part of me still feels like that guy making shirts like in an apartment where it's like, okay, so if I clear $200, but I pay somebody $20 an hour, then it's a great idea to do it. But the mindset is kind of wrong because it's not that it's going to take one guy an hour to print it. It's that it's going to go through this whole cycle of like the salesperson talked to them for 30 minutes, then the art approvals ran, then the art came back with some random correction, then it came back, and then all of a sudden $200 feels like you're just being way too cheap. So yeah, it's a hard thing to solve, and also it's one of those things where it's like if you make, sometimes you can get tempted by these huge runs where it's like, okay, we're going to do 6,000 units front, back, inside tag.
Yeah.
But then you find out that you're making less money than if you had just run like 10 random normal jobs because your margin on the small jobs is so much healthier.
Yeah.
but you were excited about making your shop look really busy because it was exciting to have 3 pallets show up. So it's a weird kind of balance there where
Yeah.
like sometimes the busiest shop isn't actually the most profitable. And yeah, figuring out all those prices is a little difficult.
Something else about the pricing. I saw this video. I think Printavo put this video out together with Mark Kudre. He does a lot of consulting like on finance and stuff. I think when I saw that video, that video like really helped me kind of just see it. Because he talks about this like the first job you get in, like you gotta, if you know what your cost is, like run to get to that cost by like the 10th day or the 15th day of the month, you already cover your cost. So everything else that comes out after the 15th day of the month is like
Yeah,
just gravy. But
right.
you have to know what that number is. I think like initially when you're getting that number, that it will take some time for you to just sit down, analyze your trend, right? Especially if you've been in business for a long time, you have enough data. You just have to sit
Right.
down, maybe with a professional, just, hey, what are you seeing here? What am I not seeing? Because you may not know even the right questions to ask. Like it's just getting with a professional. Hey, this is the problem I'm seeing. What if I was selling apples? What if I was selling something else that was not t-shirts? How would you do this? Like based on my number that you're seeing here. Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I probably because we have like a bookkeeping service and they pump out like P&Ls and stuff.
Mhm.
And I just kind of hope that it's not negative. So yeah, I definitely need to work on a little more strategy with that. Besides that, since it's just you and me, what's going on with SEPs and like kind of that service? Like what's it evolved into?
Look, art is hard.
As an owner, I was very weary of letting go of that separations from in-house.
So if you're thinking about an outsourced art department, I would highly recommend seps.io.
It's taking a big load off my plate.
Now we're getting ahead of our schedule. Everything has been automated.
We love that we know that we can submit something and we get it within 24 hours.
So the process with SEPs is actually super simple. You log into your online account and then you just put in all the information needed.
And we found out since working with you guys, you helped us standardize. Really, we work 5-10 times faster outsourcing.
I ran a screen printing shop for 7 years. And that's why we created SEPs, to be the simplest remote art department for screen printing shops. It's all about saving shop owners time and helping them run an efficient and lean shop. So SEPs. For the folks that don't know, SEPs is a remote art department. We create the print-ready artwork files that print shop needs, screen printing shop needs. We do it at scale at a fixed price. So all you have to do is focus on running your shop, right? So something that we started officially 2 years ago, but since I ran a shop, is really a transition from a shop to this, right? So it's really combining my 6 to 7 years of running a shop plus the time that we put together. So SEPs, what it is, shops will just come in, sign up. They'll have an online platform that we'll give to them where they could submit jobs. That's like the base level where people could work with us. But what we're doing now is integrating with the shop management software. Let's say if they have a Printavo, a Shopbox, TSum, any of these shop management software, we'll integrate to that. So that way, again, it's saving the shop owners time because we're doing a lot of the data entry. You don't have to change your workflow. Just let us know when the job is assigned to us, and then we'll do the job, upload it to your thing. I think one thing that makes us different from, say, let's say you have an in-house team or using, say, some outsourced service, we focus heavily on try to build something that's systematic. If there's anything that I think I bring to the table is that, right? I'm not a graphic designer myself, so we have a team of graphic designer that does this. It's providing them with the knowledge and the system to be able to do this. And one of the systems that we use is this thing that's called a simple job flow. Pretty much what this does is give me confidence, give our team confidence, and also the shop owners, because every job goes through this 7-step process. Step number 1 is just make sure that the art, anything that we get, any inquiries, any brief, they start in a clean way. Because you always hear garbage in, garbage out. So our account manager is making sure that every job starts in a clean way by templatizing it, reading through what's going on. That's step one. Step two is the account manager will then do a flight check, make sure that the artwork is checked in advance, and also doing a lot of the admin work, creating folders, finding assets, finding blank t-shirts. If there's a font that's not, they're finding all of this, preparing that for the graphic designer. The job is broken down into tasks, so it's easily handleable by the graphic designer to just do one task, check it off, do another task, check it off. And that's all done through our system. So then the graphic designers, they do these things. That's what we call artist work. After they do the job, they stop, reset their brain. So this is one part that we've had to actually do a lot of training on this. It's not even graphic design training. It's literally like, hey, because we work like this, like everything just runs on. So you have to create space where like you give yourself time to reset your brain, especially if you're doing a bunch of jobs. Take a break away from the screen if you need to. Come back and just check this artwork, quality control that artwork. And then the artwork gets past the account managers that does another set of quality control. And then the job is done, right? So every job has to go through this system, which gives us confidence. Job come through with high quality, a little back and forth, consistency, because the job is being checked by multiple people, and reasonably fast turnaround.
How in the world, since you're remote and the whole team is remote, how in the world do you know that somebody's actually being productive and not just, telling you, oh, this took me a long time, and you like roll your eyes because it's been 90 minutes and they've done one art separation? Like how you managing that? I can't imagine knowing that people are on task unless there's some sort of like, spy software where it's like screen recording.
Yeah, there is no spy software, because that's one thing I didn't want to do, because like I don't want nobody just like looking over my shoulder to like know what I'm doing or like recording my screen. So I don't do that to our people. So first of all, it starts by hiring the right people, right? So the hiring process is key to this. It's just when I sit down with somebody, hey, we want to do this collaboration together. These are what the company standards are. These are what this is what we promise to our customer. These are our company culture. Are you sure you want to work here? Because like this may not be for you. Like
that's a good way to approach it.
Yeah. So it's like, so starting there, you kind of weed out the people that doesn't want to do it, because you could feel the vibe right away. Right. And also just having them go through our certification process. Like we could weed out people that let's say they got past the first gate, we'll catch it. Like, because they're just not, when it comes like really down to it, they're not really able to perform. Right. Yeah. So I would say start there. But even then, once we start assigning they get assigned like a dedicated account. So that's one thing, right? So they get really good at just working on that account, especially if you are on one of our top plans. And then at the end of in the beginning of their shift, they see all their job. At the end of their shift, they literally, I don't want to go to them and tell them they have to report to us what they've done, right? And that's managed by a team leader. The team leader obviously is incentivized to make sure that this thing is going, right? So there's certain threshold that they have to make as far as like acceptance rating. Like if they get a certain acceptance rating, they get a bonus, right? If they get a certain number of jobs done, they get a bonus. So there's some ways to like incentivize that. But there's also like the network effect. If you are part of a team and you're not performing, everybody's performance is reported daily, right? So if you're at the bottom, you kind of like already like, maybe I'm not a fit to be here, right? So it's just creating that environment where like everybody just kind of manage themselves and they see what's going on, right?
How did you initially find these people? I would guess that it was actually the hardest when you first started, because it was like, one person, two people that you're hiring at a time. And that must have been difficult to just like put like a help wanted sign up out on the internet and then hope it works out. Like, what tools did you use to even find people for remote work? Besides, like, are you using Upwork or?
So it's remember I told you when I started Proud T-shirt, when I was running my business, I really wanted to run a remote business. So I started like fumbling around and how to like find these people, right? Even when I ran screen printing business, I had a little army in the background anyway. Most people didn't know that, but like I had, say, maybe 4 or 5 people that was working remotely that was doing,
Really? Wow.
yeah, just like email stuff, just a personal assistant just for myself, people that was doing our social media stuff. And we kept just a couple around just to kind of float if we needed help somewhere else. Maybe we had somebody that was like have access to our book, although they wasn't our accountant, but they did a lot of like the daily, what do you call those? Just reconciling the books and stuff.
Mhm.
So those are all ways you could use like remote people. You could really leverage a lot of the stuff that's like digital. You could take all of those off your plate. It took me a while to figure it all out, and that's probably why I got a bunch of gray hairs. Because like as a small business owner, all of these things like just managing email is a beast as your
Right.
business starts to grow. Just a beast. So to answer your question, how? I'm not gonna reveal too much because like obviously I can't, right? But like people are everywhere. Think about it. People are everywhere. The first place I found my first person that worked with me was literally through social media.
Right.
And then there's a bunch of ways, like, and you could put job posting out over the internet, different communities. There's a bunch of different communities, like graphic design communities that you could just tap into. They just have to be it. Go ahead.
Are you using some of them like as kind of like as outside sales? Like, are they doing cold emails and doing like outreach and marketing because you're trying to like acquire new customers that way? Or is it only that they work on art?
But now, like I tried an appointment setter. I don't think for our business it works well because for our business, it's really about just trust, right? Like, so you say, for example, somebody comes to your shop or somebody calls you, you're not gonna give them the time of day. Like, you're just not, right? So at least for us, I've been in the industry for a while, right? So folks kind of know me. I'm not gonna say they know me all the way. They kind of know me, or it's easy for them to figure out who I'm about, right? They could just look me up or ask around. You know, sometimes they'll be, hey, this guy's all right. So just give him a shot or something like that, right? So I found, at least for us, a startup company, I think the owner has to carry some of that up to a certain point and then be able to pass that on to, say, somebody else that is also trustworthy in the industry, where like they could approach a shop owner and like the shop owner doesn't have like a major wall up, right? Because that's half the battle, is really just like, because what I find once people, like in the beginning, probably like say the first 6 months, it was just people like, okay, what is this? Can you like, but after a while they were like, oh, okay, I see what it is. And after we get a couple of more case studies and other people have experienced it, then it's like, it's really them selling themselves. I just have to just kind of make it like, make them aware of that's available. That's really the only, and that's half the, like, that's what every business is struggling with, right? Just getting awareness.
I wonder if maybe not you personally did it, but if you maybe hired someone that was like commission based, if they did what Rich does, where he literally just shows up at shop and does a little shop tour and hangs out and just like kind of says like, if you need me, whatever. And then the way he acquires customers that way, if you did that or had someone do that, I wonder how many clients you would get per month. I think it would be huge. I think you could get, I mean, I don't see why you couldn't get at least like minimum 5 to 10 clients in a month by just like deciding you're going to visit 5 shops a day. That would be, you'd shake so many hands doing that. It would be, especially if you go into shops and you see that they're disorganized or see that they've got this problem or that problem, and you're like, it's basically answering all of their problems in one place.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see. I mean, then you'd have to have the bandwidth to take on that many clients. That'd be another problem.
And also just like, well, first of all, you have to get over yourself, which I had to work on, Liz, because like selling door to door or just going up to someone, it's tough. Like it's tough in the sense where like you just have to like get rid of all your like mental thing that's holding you back, because that's all it is. And I literally in the beginning I kind of just struggle with that. Now I don't give a, I don't care. I'll go and talk to anybody. But that takes time, bro. It takes time for you to just build up that enough gusto to just go into somebody's shop and not bother them and stuff, whatever.
I mean, you could maybe do it under like the guise of like, well, I really like how Bruce does his little shop tour
Yeah,
videos.
yeah.
But a lot of times, like if he comes and does one with you, it's Bruce just kind of like hanging out and holding his phone up. But like it's a great way for him to have a reason to come. And then there's something about shop owners where like if they feel like they're doing something, then you can get their attention for an hour straight. But
Yeah,
if you feel like, oh, we're just gonna like talk, they're like,
yeah,
no, we're not gonna
yeah.
just talk.
Yeah, it's
So
weird because I have gone to a bunch of shops. And the thing
yeah,
is, in the beginning, you would just walk in and hey, a couple of minutes of your time, whatever, right? You
right.
got to be respectful of the person's time. None of those was a couple of minutes. They was all like an hour or more, just talking.
Yeah.
Oh, let me show you this. Let me show you that. Oh, I got this going on. Oh, you used to run a shop. Tell me what you did there. It's like because the
Yeah.
person don't know you in the beginning. Once they know what you've done and they see that you're not full of shit, then they're cool with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun. It's fun visiting shops. It seems like a lot of us are kind of doing the same things. It's interesting going to like big shops and being like, well, this is just a big version of my shop. Like the bigger and bigger you get, you don't really change the process. Like the process is the same, which makes everyone really pretty relatable. Like
Yeah.
you can go to Culture Studio and they'll have, I don't even know how many presses Culture Studio is up to now, but like 20 or something. And you can
Yeah.
be there and you're like, yeah, this place is insanely huge, but they're outputting
They're
either
printing
film
shirts.
or they're doing, like they're either outputting films or they're running a CTS or they probably own a laser by now. But like
Yeah.
you're just watching them do the same process you're doing. So it
Yeah.
makes it like, yeah, it's nice talking to all the different owners. I wonder, like, not acquiring. I mean, your customers now are print shop owners, but I wonder about going out and seeing people that would be like, corporate clients and that kind of relationship. Like it's really easy to talk to someone else in the industry, but
Yeah.
talking to someone outside of the industry and saying, oh, you're just seeing this as a finished product. You don't really know the differences. So I just kind of have to explain it to you. And then also you can over explain it. I've learned with those kind of customers, like they don't
Ooh.
really need to know that much.
Yeah. I actually did I took a sales training. Just been really just like refining my sales thing. And it really comes down, and if when you go into it, it kind of feels heavy. But at the end of the day, I actually before the sales training, I was actually a better salesperson than after. Because like when you go through the sales training, you're learning all of these things, and you want to try them, right? And you want to do
Right.
this, do this, do this, and it's selling is just being authentically you. That's it.
Yeah.
Like just be like, and before the training, I was just authentically me. I was like, this is what we got. Do you want it? You don't want it? Cool. Like, so sales training is like, because is really about having a conversation, like, especially if you're doing like enterprise sale, like what you're saying is like,
Hmm.
where you got to talk to people where there's a bunch of different decision makers. Like, those are really tough sales, right? Because like the
Yeah.
sale could break down at any level and you don't have control over those, right? But it's really just getting that first person, planting different seeds inside of, if you can having some other people. It's really just about going and making friends, taking somebody out to lunch. That's not even who you're trying to sell to, but they could be like your champion inside of the company. Those are some of the things I kind of learned through the sales training, but just enterprise sales is really tough. But it's also super, like if you could get one deal, a couple of deals, you good, right? That's why it's so
Yeah.
tough.
Well, and also like what I've seen with the marketing agencies is they seem to have like a client. So like the marketing agency that worked with us for all the car events, they supposedly had other clients, but like 90% of all of their revenue was only one car company. And they basically were just at the mercy of them permanently because here's this multi-million-dollar budget. You're going to be stretched thin just fulfilling the contract for that multi-million-dollar budget. But also, someone in an executive office can complain about the last 2 or 3 events and just hire anyone else who also wants that. And your business like doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of terrifying how those marketing agencies are set up where like, they're not servicing 20 clients. They're servicing like one client 24 hours a day. And that's
Yeah.
kind of terrifying. That
Yes.
one company has changed ownership like 3 times because people keep like basically getting sick of running it. And it's the same agency. Like a lot of the staff that work there, I still know, but the ownership is always changing and it's always getting a new stuff. And I
Yeah.
think it's because you end up with so much work and basically no guarantees.
Yeah. Yeah. Depending on one big client is, no, it's not good. It's risky. Super risky.
Yeah, but also one client could wreck you. Like if Hurley called tomorrow and said, we want a local shop to run our, California made line or whatever,
Hmm.
they would instantly take over our entire production and it would be a massive amount of money for us. But also it's like you can't turn it down even though you fear the possibility of it going away. So it's
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what you're supposed to do in that scenario. Like our neighbors, they do like pallets and pallets of prints, and it's all for Nike. And so if Nike were to not want to have them run jobs,
Yeah.
it would go from 30 plus employees to no work. And it's like all Nike.
I'd rather run a smaller shop, smaller
Yeah.
customers, like mid-level customers.
We've had moments where like one customer was getting bigger and bigger, where like one customer would give us a few 100,000 a year, but I've never really had like one client take over the shop at any point.
Yeah. We never got to be that big. I think that's a blessing in disguise, actually. Because like when you get so big, it's a lot more stress that comes with it, especially when there's a downturn or one of these customers trying to do what they got to do. So I think when Dylan was here from Shirt Show, he talked about this, 2 press or 3 press, right? Like what is the ideal number?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and to him, it's like that sweet spot is 3 press. But his question was 2 press or 10 press or something like that.
Yeah, he was talking to guys with huge shops and asking if they were happier with 2 presses or 10 presses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's funny because the guys who really succeed when they start having the really big shops, like a Liquid Graphics kind of a shop,
Yeah.
they have no interest in holding back. Those guys just go and go and go. And then there's people like Dylan where he doesn't really want to grow. He just wants his existing business to be really healthy. And so it's interesting to see those two kind of paths. I mean, I would like to make more money, but I don't feel like I'm trying to become some massive shop. I don't know if I'll ever like buy another press other than maybe replacing a press, but I don't really need to have, 5 presses, I don't think.
Gotcha. I think that's the end of our conversation.
I feel like we were all over the place, but there's some gold in there.
Yeah, that was really actually some really good stuff.
So anyway, thank you for listening and have a wonderful day printing t-shirts.
Talk to you later.